This is Jonathan. Welcome to my YouTube channel. When you look at what's happening in the world, it's easy to wonder what's going on and are things out of control. Is this what the Bible foretold? Is the end near? What do I need to know about the future? Where's it all going? How can I be prepared? What is God's prophetic word for the hour and for me? On this channel, you're going to find prophetic updates, the mysteries of God, daily words for life, biblical revelation, prophetic teachings, and much more. I pray it's going to be a great blessing to you in the days ahead. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time there's a new video that's posted. Leave a comment as to how God is blessing you. And don't forget to share these videos with friends who need to hear them. Thanks again, and God bless you. Shalom. Your endurance has been seen, and heaven rejoices over your perseverance. You didn't give up when it would have been easier to walk away. You didn't surrender to the pressure even when it felt like the whole world was crumbling around you. You stood when others fell. You kept praying when it felt like no one was listening. You held on to hope when everything around you screamed hopelessness. And now in this moment, heaven is rejoicing, not because you were perfect, not because you had all the answers, but because you stayed faithful in the fire. There were moments when you questioned if you'd make it through. Moments when your strength ran out and your faith wavered. You asked God if He was still there, if He still heard you, if He still cared. You wondered if the pain had a purpose or if you were just going through another season of suffering. But now the season is shifting, the storm is breaking, the darkness is lifting, and heaven is releasing its shout over your life. You made it. You passed the test. You endured, and because of that, there's a reward coming that no man can take away. God saw it all, not just the battles you fought in public, but the ones you endured in silence, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the days you put on a brave face when your heart was breaking, the moments when you showed up anyway at work, at church, for your family, when you barely had anything left to give. God was watching, not as a distant observer, but as a loving Father who was walking with you every step of the way. Even when you couldn't feel Him, He was there. Even when it felt like heaven was silent, He was listening, and now He's responding. You didn't survive by accident. You survived on purpose with purpose. Every tear watered the soil of your next season. Every struggle prepared you for what's about to be released. You've passed through the fire, and now it's time to come out not burned, but refined, stronger, wiser, sharper, more anointed. This was never about breaking you. It was about building you. And now that the hardest part is behind you, the joy of the Lord is about to overflow in ways you never imagined. God is proud of you. That's something people don't say often enough, but it's the truth. He is proud of the way you held on, proud of the way you chose righteousness over resentment, proud of the way you kept walking even when your legs trembled. That's not weakness, that's courage, that's perseverance. And God rewards that. He doesn't forget faithfulness. He doesn't overlook endurance. He honors it. He celebrates it. And He responds to it with favor that no man can manufacture. Some people will never know the depth of what you've endured. They see the smile, the strength, the surface, but they don't know the storm. They don't know the silent sacrifices, the internal wars, the spiritual heaviness you've carried. But God knows. He knows it all. And heaven keeps records. The things you thought were unnoticed were fully seen by heaven, and now the season has come where those tears are being turned into testimony. The crushing is turning into oil. The wilderness is giving way to promise. What was meant to break you is about to bless you. What was designed to destroy you is going to elevate you because you didn't curse God in the fire. You didn't walk away when it got hard. You leaned in, you clung tighter, you pressed deeper, and now, like Job, you're about to see the restoration, not just what you lost, but double, not just what was taken, but more than enough, because God doesn't just bring you out. He brings you out better. This next season isn't just about recovery, it's about release. God is releasing everything that was held up. The doors that were stuck are opening. The relationships that were blocked are aligning. The provision that was delayed is being dispatched. Why? Because God said they passed the test. Now give them access. Access to new realms of peace, of clarity, of influence, of purpose. You cried for it. You waited for it. Now you're about to walk in it. You are not the same person you were when the battle started. You've been transformed, not just externally, but internally. Your mind is stronger. Your discernment is sharper. Your praise is deeper. You now know how to worship when it hurts. You know how to trust when you can't trace. You know how to stand on the word when everything else fails. And that right there is why you passed the test. Because you didn't just make it through, you grew through. There's a shift happening right now. Not in your imagination, in the spirit. Heaven is declaring a new chapter over your life. A chapter of laughter, a chapter of rest, a chapter of divine favor and restoration. You are stepping into answered prayers, not because you earned them, but because you endured for them. You fought for them. You waited for them, and now they're here. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your testimony. God is lifting the weight. The heaviness you've carried is being removed. The anxiety you felt is being replaced with peace. The confusion is being cleared up with clarity. You're about to breathe again, smile again, sleep again, hope again. You're not just exiting the hardest season. You're entering the most fruitful one. What took years to build will begin to accelerate. The doors that were sealed will now open easily, not because the resistance stopped, but because God stepped in. And don't let anyone make you feel guilty for the blessing that's coming. You paid a price for this. You went through fire for this. You kept your integrity for this. So when God starts to elevate you, when favor starts to find you, walk boldly, not arrogantly, but confidently because you didn't skip the process. You embraced it, you didn't cheat the test, you completed it, and now the graduation is here. There's a celebration in heaven happening over you. The angels have watched your journey. They've seen you fight through prayer, weep through worship, endure through silence, and now they're rejoicing. Heaven celebrates not just conversions, it celebrates perseverance. The moments you could have compromised but didn't. The times you could have quit but chose to continue. The days you felt forgotten but stayed faithful anyway. Those moments shook heaven, and now heaven is shouting back, "You did it." God is bringing divine compensation. That doesn't just mean money. It means everything the enemy tried to steal is being returned. Joy is coming back. Strength is coming back. Vision is being restored. Purpose is being renewed. You're not going to just feel better. You're going to be better. He's restoring what was lost in the fire and giving you beauty for ashes. This is not cliché. This is covenant. You didn't lose your identity in the storm. You found it. You discovered who you really are in the eyes of God. Not what people labeled you. Not what pain whispered to you, but who God always said you were. Chosen, anointed, set apart, strong, called. And now you're going to walk differently, talk differently, carry yourself differently. Not from pride, but from awareness. You know who you are now, and no trial can take that from you. This is a prophetic moment. You're not just reading words, you're receiving confirmation, that stirring in your spirit, that fire in your bones. It's the Holy Spirit saying, this is your word, this is your time. And yes, others may have had smoother roads, but yours built endurance. Yours built character. Yours built oil, and oil is what God uses in this hour. Not popularity, not performance, oil. So guard what you've gained. Protect your peace. Stay close to His presence. Don't go back to old patterns, old people, or old places that drained you. You didn't survive hell just to return to it. You didn't climb out just to crawl back in. This new season requires new boundaries, new decisions, new focus. God has brought you too far for you to entertain what He already delivered you from. This is the time to move forward boldly. Dream again, build again, trust again, love again. This is the time to pray prayers that scare your past, but stir your future because you're no longer that broken version of you. You're healed, you're whole, you're ready. You've got scars, but they're proof of survival. You've got stories, but they're proof of endurance. You've got oil, and it came at a cost, and God will use everything you've walked through. None of it was wasted. Not one tear, not one trial, not one lonely moment. All of it was shaping your spirit, molding your heart, anchoring your faith. And now others will look at you and wonder how you carry such wisdom, such peace, such strength. And you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. You've crossed over now, you're on the other side. The fire didn't consume you, it refined you. The pressure didn't break you, it birthed you. The battle didn't end you, it revealed you. And now you get to walk in the joy of knowing heaven is smiling over your journey. You get to rest in the truth that God is not just with you. He's proud of you. He's celebrating what others didn't see, but what he always knew. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, walk in the room like someone who just survived the fire and came out with the favor. Speak like someone who knows their prayers didn't just go up. They're coming back down as answers. Live like someone who passed the hardest test and is now trusted with more, because you did it. You endured, you passed, and heaven is rejoicing. You've been through the worst, and the best is now in front of you. Don't look back. Don't replay the pain. Don't rehearse the heartbreak. You've healed, you've grown, and now it's time to move forward into everything God has prepared. There's joy ahead, laughter ahead, open doors ahead. The night is over, the morning has come, and the smile on your face is about to match the shout of heaven. You made it. The test wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to build you. And even though it hurt, even though it shook you to your core, even though it took everything in you just to get through another day, what you were enduring wasn't punishment. It wasn't rejection. It wasn't abandonment by God. It was preparation. It was heaven shaping something deeper within you that couldn't be produced in comfort. It was the kind of training that doesn't come from books or sermons. It only comes from walking through fire with your eyes still fixed on God. There were moments where you thought, why me? Moments where you wondered if you were being targeted, if you had done something wrong, if maybe God had changed his mind about your calling. But now you're beginning to see it wasn't wrath. It was refinement. You weren't disqualified. You were being developed. The pain didn't cancel your destiny. It carved out a deeper capacity to carry it. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour was shaping something in you that couldn't be formed any other way. God saw what you couldn't. He saw the weight of what he was calling you to carry in the next season, and he knew that without a process of preparation, it would crush you. So he allowed a test not to destroy your strength, but to reveal it. The test exposed what you needed to confront, to surrender, to release. It showed you what had to be broken off and what had to be built up. You thought you were losing, but you were being reinforced. Yes, it felt like the wilderness. It felt dry, lonely, unfamiliar. It felt like your prayers were hitting ceilings and your faith was being stretched beyond its limits. But it was in that very wilderness that God was forming something unshakable in you. A faith that isn't based on feelings, a trust that isn't dependent on circumstances, an obedience that doesn't need to be comfortable to be complete. These are the qualities that sustain the called, and you chosen one were being formed for more than the ordinary. You passed the test not because you got every answer right, but because you refused to walk away. You stayed in the fight when others tapped out. You kept praising when others went silent. You kept showing up when it would have been easier to disappear. You kept choosing integrity when compromise knocked at your door. That's what heaven honors. That's what qualifies you. Not perfection, but perseverance. Not talent, but tenacity. Not being flawless, but being faithful. What you didn't know is that angels were dispatched every time you chose to keep going. Heaven leaned in every time you said yes when it would have been easier to say no. And now God is saying, you've passed, you endured, you trusted me when it didn't make sense, and now I will trust you with what's next. This isn't just about surviving a season. It's about graduating into a new level of spiritual authority, divine clarity, and prophetic acceleration. Promotion is coming not from people, not from platforms, not from popularity, but from the throne of God. And when heaven promotes you, no man can block you. No system can limit you. No accusation can disqualify you. Because this promotion isn't based on man's opinion, it's based on God's decree. You were being watched in secret, and now you'll be rewarded in the open. You were tested in the shadows, but now you'll be trusted with light. You were faithful with little, and now much is being released. God is elevating you not for your ego, but for His agenda. You endured for more than your own breakthrough. You went through the fire so you could carry fire. You walked through the storm so you could speak peace into others. You were crushed so that oil could flow, fresh oil that will break yokes and shift atmospheres. The anointing on your life is increasing not because of a title, but because of your tears. Not because of applause, but because of your altar. You're not the same person who entered that test. You've changed, you've matured, you've sharpened. You've surrendered more than most would understand. And God has taken note. The refinement wasn't just about spiritual growth. It was about spiritual readiness. God was preparing you to carry more, speak with greater clarity, love without fear, and lead with discernment. What He is placing in your hands now requires the very depth He carved into you during that hard season. So don't curse the season that shaped you. Don't resent the days that refined you. Don't look back on the breaking and wish it away. Because that breaking built something priceless inside of you. A weight of glory, a depth of compassion, a resilience of faith, a sharpened ear to hear the whispers of God that others miss in the noise. That kind of spiritual weight is not learned. It's lived, and you lived it, you earned it, you became it. Now is the time to walk like someone who knows they've passed, not with pride, but with purpose. Walk with the awareness that you carry something sacred. Talk with the confidence that you've been through something holy. Think with the wisdom that pain has taught you. Love with the freedom that healing has given you. You no longer need to defend your process. It's producing fruit that speaks for itself. Don't be surprised when doors begin to open without you knocking. Don't be shocked when rooms make space for your voice. Don't doubt it when favor finds you. This is not random, it's reward. This is not coincidence, it's covenant. God honors those who allow Him to mold them in the secret place. And because you didn't run from the refining, you're about to run into release. You'll look back on this season and say, it hurt, but it helped, it broke me, but it built me. It shook me, but it also shaped me. The things you thought were setbacks were really setups. The delays were divine. The denials were protection. The silence was God's strategy. He was working on your behalf the whole time beneath the surface, behind the scenes, beyond your understanding. Now you're ready to carry what others can't. Ready to stand in places you once only prayed about. Ready to walk through doors that were once sealed, not because you're better, but because you've been built differently, built in fire, built in truth. Built in obedience, built in intimacy with God that no platform can produce. So stand tall, heaven is watching, the cloud of witnesses is cheering, the angels are moving, and God is declaring over you, this one has passed, this one has been approved, this one is ready. What was preparation is turning into promotion. What was pressure is producing promise. What was testing is turning into testimony. What tried to bury you is now birthing your assignment. You'll see that even in the hardest moments, God was always ahead of you, making ways, opening paths, strategically aligning your steps. You didn't survive by chance. You were sustained by purpose. You weren't lucky. You were kept. When the enemy tried to take you out, God said no. When your strength failed, His grace carried you. When your heart broke, His hands held you. Now you will speak from authority, not theory. You will encourage others, not from a place of sympathy, but from a place of survival. You've walked it, you've wared through it, and now you'll lead others through it. There's weight behind your words. Now there's fire behind your prayers. There's oil in your worship. You don't sound the same because you aren't the same. You've been with God in the valley, and now you're coming out with victory. And yes, the enemy sees it too. He knows he couldn't break you, so now he'll try to distract you. Don't be fooled. Stay focused. Don't go back to what God used the test to separate you from. Don't entertain people who are only assigned to your old season. Don't downplay what God has done just to make others comfortable. Own your journey. Steward your breakthrough. Protect your new. You've been trusted with more because you proved you wouldn't mishandle it. God can trust you with people, with purpose, with platforms, not because you're flawless, but because you're yielded. You learned how to stay surrendered when it hurt. You learned how to seek Him when it was silent. You learned how to obey without details. That's what heaven is looking for, and you gave it. So now God gives back not as payment, but as promotion, because the test wasn't about performance. It was about posture. You didn't need to impress Him. You just needed to trust Him, and now He's entrusting you with more than you imagined. Get ready. What's ahead won't be easy, but it will be worth it. It will stretch you, but it will fulfill you. It will require your faith, but it will satisfy your soul. You're stepping into the manifestation of what you were molded for. Don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't hesitate. Go forward with boldness. Go forward with clarity. Go forward with the authority of someone who's been tested and found faithful, because that's what you are, faithful, and God never forgets the faithful. Everything is shifting now. Atmospheres are aligning. Connections are coming. Resources are being released. Divine acceleration is beginning because God says the test has ended. The refining season is complete. The breaking was not the end. It was the doorway, and now you walk through into the promise, carrying everything He built inside of you when it looked like nothing was happening. So breathe deep, smile wide, lift your hands and thank Him. Not just for the blessing, but for the breaking that made room for it. Because now you understand it was never about punishment. It was always about preparation, and you were not being broken down. You were being built up. And what God builds, He backs. What God tests, He trusts. And what He refineses, He releases. You've passed the test. Now promotion follows. Now that the hardest season has passed, joy and restoration are being released. You've walked through fire. You've endured storms that few saw. You fought battles that left you bruised but not broken. And now heaven is shifting the atmosphere over your life. The night season is lifting. The heaviness is breaking. The cloud is parting. You are not just coming out of the pain. You're stepping into a divine promise. What was once buried under sorrow is now being unearthed in joy. What was once tangled in confusion is now being loosed into clarity. What felt like chaos is now giving way to peace that passes all understanding. God is bringing beauty from ashes, not just figuratively, but tangibly. You will see things rebuilt in your life that were once declared lost. You will feel strength where there was only survival. You will notice divine reversals in places where you once settled for disappointment. God is redeeming time. He is restoring what was wasted. He is giving you double for your trouble. This isn't some distant hope. This is the word of the Lord manifesting in your now. You've cried long enough. You've wrestled long enough. The season of weariness is over, and the season of reward has begun. You are never forgotten. It may have felt like you were walking alone, but you weren't. Every tear you cried was caught by heaven. Every silent prayer was heard. Every time you felt like you were falling apart, the Spirit of God was holding you together. You may not have seen angels, but they were there. You may not have felt strength, but you were being sustained. You made it through a chapter that was designed to shake everything you believed, and still you're standing. Not just barely, but boldly, with more wisdom, more oil, more power, and more spiritual authority than you've ever known before. This is your moment of divine rest, and it's not just physical, it's spiritual. It's emotional, it's mental. God is silencing the tormenting voices that tried to steal your sleep. He is binding up the emotional wounds that tried to linger long after the pain. He is replacing trauma with triumph. He is replacing sorrow with songs of deliverance. You will laugh again, and not just a shallow laugh, but the deep, full, healed kind of joy that bubbles up from a place no devil could reach. That's what restoration feels like. That's what recovery in God looks like. It's not partial, it's complete. It's not fragile, it's firm. It's not temporary, it's transformative. Don't minimize what you've come through. Don't let the enemy lie to you and tell you it wasn't that bad or that it didn't matter. It did. You've been through what others wouldn't survive. You faced things no one knew about. You smiled in rooms where you were bleeding inside. You kept believing when it felt like heaven was silent. That matters, that is faith, and that is what's being honored now. God didn't bring you this far to leave you empty. He didn't refine you in fire just to leave you with ashes. He's giving you beauty not because you earned it with works, but because you stayed with Him through the worst. You're not going back to who you were before the storm. That person was precious to God, but you've been changed, you've grown, you've been refined, you've been elevated in the Spirit. What used to shake you can't anymore. What used to confuse you no longer does. What used to discourage you now deepens your dependence on God. That is restoration. Not just putting the pieces back together, but making you stronger and more complete than before. Not just healing your past, but preparing you for your future. And what a future it is. You're not just stepping into another chapter. You're stepping into divine fulfillment. Things that were prophesied years ago are coming back to the surface. Dreams you thought had died are breathing again. The vision you once tucked away is reawakening, not in fantasy, but in divine timing. You are no longer in survival mode. You're in receiving mode. God is handing you the keys to things you once thought were denied. He's opening doors that no man can shut. He's restoring relationships that were broken and misunderstanding. He's bringing alignment where there was confusion. He's placing you exactly where you belong for such a time as this. This is not just relief. It is reward. Relief would have been enough. Relief would have been the pressure lifting. But this is so much more than that. This is the kind of blessing that follows obedience. The kind of favor that cannot be explained, the kind of breakthrough that has heaven's fingerprints all over it. People will look at your life and see the evidence of God's goodness, not because you manipulated anything, but because you surrendered everything. That's why it's happening now, not because of striving, but because of surrender, not because of perfection, but because of persistence. You didn't quit. You didn't sell out. You didn't bow to pressure. And now the Father is smiling over you. He's proud. He's pleased. He's releasing what was stored up during your tears. Prayers that seemed unanswered were actually accumulating interest. Faith that seemed ignored was actually building momentum. God was never ignoring you. He was preparing the perfect time, and now the appointed time is here. Things are going to move quickly now. Suddenly doors will open. Suddenly answers will arrive. Suddenly healing will manifest. Suddenly you'll look up and realize I'm not in that season anymore. I've crossed over. You're crossing over from barely enough to more than enough, from striving to resting, from heartbreak to wholeness, from confusion to clarity, from wandering to walking with purpose. That's the restoration you're stepping into, and it's not just for your benefit. It's for the assignment God is placing in your hands. You'll be trusted with more now, not just because you endured, but because you can carry it with the humility that only the broken can understand. You'll minister from a place of power because you've lived what you're speaking. You'll walk in boldness because your confidence comes from surviving what should have taken you out. Peace is your portion now, and it's not dependent on perfect circumstances. This peace is rooted in the one who held you together. This peace silences fear, confuses the enemy, and guards your heart. It is the kind of peace that allows you to sleep deeply again, the kind of peace that allows you to hope without fear of disappointment, the kind of peace that anchors you even when the world around you is still shifting. That's your inheritance now. That's your reward for standing firm. Clarity is also coming. Where there was fog, now there's focus. Where there was delay, now there's direction. You'll see with new eyes. You'll know what to say no to. You'll discern the right relationships. You'll hear the still small voice of God with greater sharpness. You're not second guessing anymore. The season of doubt is over. You've been trained in the waiting, and now the clarity is a compass for what's ahead. God is not leaving you to figure this out on your own. He is leading, He is guiding, He is speaking, and now you'll know how to follow. You're not just being restored to the place you were. You're being elevated beyond it. Promotion is here, but this promotion won't come with chaos. It will come with calm. It won't come with anxiety. It will come with peace. You won't have to fight for a seat. God is pulling out a chair at a table He prepared for you while you were in the battle. You'll feast where you once wept. You'll rise where you once fell. You'll walk freely in places where you once crawled because you passed the test, because you trusted when it made no sense, because you surrendered even when it cost you everything. Now the heavens are rejoicing, not just because you made it through, but because of who you became in the process. You've become a vessel of glory. You've become a warrior of faith. You've become a carrier of healing, a releaser of breakthrough, a steward of divine encounters. And God can use you now in ways that weren't possible before the storm. The pain wasn't wasted. It positioned you, it prepared you, and now it has passed. This is your green light. This is your divine go ahead. Move forward, not timidly but boldly. Speak not from fear but from authority. Build not from desperation but from revelation. Dream again, not from survival but from vision. Rest, not because the work is over, but because now you're working from a place of alignment. That's the gift of this season. That's the promise being fulfilled. He's making all things new, not just repaired, but completely restored. Not just patched up, but fully redeemed. Your story will not end in struggle. It will end in glory, and every chapter that brought tears will be woven into a testimony that brings others to healing. You are proof that God is faithful. You are proof that seasons change. You are proof that heaven responds. You are proof that restoration is real. So step into this new with gratitude, not just for the reward, but for the road that led to it. Every step mattered, every tear counted, every trial served a purpose. And now it all comes together. This is the joy after mourning, the breakthrough after the breakdown, the miracle after the midnight. This is God's promise in living color. Real, present, undeniable. You're not late. You're right on time. This is your moment. Breathe, smile, rejoice. The hardest season has passed. The oil has been pressed. The crown has been prepared, and your name is being called in heaven as one who endured, one who passed, and one who is now being promoted. Restoration is here. Joy is flowing. Peace is reigning, and purpose is leading. Welcome to your new season. Welcome to the reward of your faith.